Yeah. Set the camera. Hi guys, welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast channel. My name is Mina and I'm here for the podcast episode today. This should be episode 125. It has been far too long since I last recorded, and this seems to have become a regular theme with my podcasts, is that they seem to be quite few and far between these days. But I have been doing quite a fair few vlogs, so hopefully you guys have been catching up with those, keeping up to date with what I've been up to. It's just things have been a bit crazy lately. It's been a lot going on this summer, and with a toddler, it's just not a lot of time or opportunity to actually sit down and do a formal podcast. And today actually, it's not a full-on formal podcast. It is a podcast, but I don't have any show notes, so we are just hoping I don't forget anything. I might miss out a few things here and there, but we're here to talk about knitting. So my name is Mina, and you can find me online as Mina Phillip on Ravelry. You can find the podcast group on Ravelry as Knitting Expat Podcast. I have show notes. I probably won't have show notes for today, but I typically have show notes for my podcast episodes at knittingexpat.wordpress.com. Because I don't have show notes, if you have any questions about anything I talk about or mention, just let me know in the comments, either below the video on YouTube or in the episode thread in the group on Ravelry. You can find me on Instagram as Knitting Expat. I am generally pretty active on Instagram. I don't always necessarily post a lot on my feed, especially lately that I haven't been doing much knitting, but I do post quite a bit in stories usually, especially if I've got going out with Layla and stuff, then there'll be posts on my stories. And Layla, if you're not aware, is my daughter. She is my 17-month-old toddler who is running circles around me these days. But no, she's a lot of fun right now. She's at a very, very, very fun age. Today she's actually at nursery, so I'm just taking a bit of my day to record this podcast for you guys. And if you did watch the last vlog, and if you have been keeping up with my Instagram, you'll know that Perry, my husband, and I, we recently bought our first home. We bought an apartment just outside of London. It's just south of London, in a town called Tunbridge Wells. A really, really lovely area. We're actually, it's closer to Perry's family than to my family, but still not that far from my family either, so still fairly close by. I sort of explained very briefly some of the reasons why we were looking there and why we bought there in the vlog, but so I'm not going to go over that stuff now. A lot of it's very personal reasons, and I'm really not relevant to explain on the podcast. But anyway, so just wanted to mention that. And I think that's most of the admin-y stuff. There's been quite a few things going on recently. Again, if you watched the vlogs, you'll have seen some of the recent trips we've done, like day trips and stuff. And yeah, there's been a fair amount of knitting, not a huge amount. I believe the last time I podcast was just before we went away with Perry's family for a week's holiday up in the Midlands in the UK. And so yes, I think I will start with some finished objects from then. Actually, the first finished object was from before, and I did show this on the last podcast, but it wasn't blocked. So this is what I'm currently referring to as my waffle pullover, and it's got creases in it because it's been folded up and now I have to reblock it. Fun times. I still need to photograph it, but it's creased, so I need to sort of wet that a little bit and relay it out to dry before I photograph it. But this is what it looks like blocked, and as you can see at the bottom, it's ever so slightly longer in the back than at the front, but like it's barely even an inch difference in height. So when you're wearing it, it's really not that obvious, and that's mainly because the stitch pattern on the front does sort of cinch it up a little bit. Not a huge amount. Once it's been blocked out, it pretty much matches up quite nicely in terms of gauge. And And yeah, this is the stockinette side. So this was knit out of Primrose Yarn Company on her Margot base, which is a fingering weight MCN, and it comes in 150 gram skeins. I'm using 5 colours here. And yeah, so this pattern is actually now ready for test knitting, but I haven't put out a call yet for test knitting because of all the craziness with the move and stuff, and there's actually no rush for this one because the pattern's not coming out this year. But I'm allowed to show it to you. It's as part of a collaboration with Kelsey from Primrose Yarn Company, but it's for a future thing. So stay tuned for that. I will probably put out a test call for this sometime in September, so if you are interested, make sure you sign up to be a test knitter, and I'll put out a testing call. I'll send an email to everyone on that list who's interested. And yeah, there's a link in my Instagram profile to sign up as a test knitter, and in the Q&A video that I posted, was it last week or the week before, there's also a link under that video on YouTube where you can go sign up to be a test knitter as well. And if I remember, because I might not, if I remember, I'll put it in the episode thread as well for this episode. And if I forgot it and you can't find the link, then just leave me a comment somewhere and I'll it will remind me to go ahead and add the link if I've forgotten to do it. So that was the first thing I wanted to show you really quickly. It was a previous finished object that you'd seen, I just hadn't shown it to you blocked. And I would wear it, but it's far too hot for that today. My next finished object is the little red pullover. So this is as part of a mummy and me sort of, mummy and baby or mummy and child sort of pattern set that I am designing using Mon Sheep Shop yarn. And so this is in the Little Red Hood colorway, which is the red, and Big Bad Wolf is the grey. So that's where the name came from, Little Red. And this is the design, and I'm so chuffed with how this has turned out. It looks great on Layla. This is the 2 to 4 year size. I've done it a little bit longer than you might typically do for a 2 to 4 year old, but right now when she wears this, it's quite big on her, so the cuffs have to be folded up at least once, and the body comes down to like mid-thigh on her, and she's quite a tall 17-month-old, like she's pretty much the height of a 2-year-old right now. So this fits her quite well. There is tons of space in this for her to grow. There's at least 1 to 2 inches, sorry, there's at least 2 to 4 inches of positive ease in this pullover on her when she's wearing it. It's nice and loose on the body, but right now it looks a bit more like a sweater dress on her, which is really cute. And I think for this coming winter this would be really nice as like a sweater dress, and then as she grows this will just become more like a regular pullover. So quite versatile. I always think that with children's knits it's worth knitting a size up and then they have more time to wear it, but I do in my children's patterns anyway, as standard, include like an extra inch in length for the arms and body, more than what would be standard, just to allow additional growth. But so far I think most if not all of my children's patterns are top down. I think they are all top down, so you can easily customize the length of sleeve and length of the body as well to suit the child that you are knitting for. A couple of other things I wanted to mention. I did put some short row shaping into the back of the neck. I'm not entirely happy with how that's turned out. I mean, it's not bad, it's fine, but I don't really think it adds much to the finished object, so I'm not going to include that in the pattern. It's not something I think I would do next time for this particular design. But I really love how the cables have turned out, and it just travels down. The cables sort of continue past the raglan and creases down the side of the body, and then once you're about halfway down the body they start to travel back into the middle. So it just adds some interest to the garment, and yeah, I just really like it. It adds some fun shaping and it kind of gives this fun little silhouette illusion type effect, and it's the same on the back as the front. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this has turned out. It's, like I said, it fits Layla great. I haven't tried it on her after blocking. I tried it on her once I'd finished it, and yeah, it looks good. I'm really happy with it. I still need to photograph it, and my plan for this afternoon is to write up the pattern for this one. I don't know what it is about writing up patterns once I've knit the sample, but it's just such a stumbling block for me right now. It's ridiculous. I have so many designs that I've done, including the next pattern I'm going to show you, next finished objects I'm going to show you, that I just haven't been able to get past the whole, alright, now you've done it, now write it up. You've got your notes, everything's there, it's just a matter of sitting down at the computer and tip tap typing it up. I really don't understand what is so hard. And with this one, I've already figured out all the grading, so there's really no excuses. Anyway, the next finished object I have to show you are another pair of socks. I don't actually think I ever showed these on the podcast, but it's a pair of Colorway socks, and I'm not sure if you can see it. This one might show it up a bit better. So the background colour is a speckled colour. The main colour, both yarns are by Goosey Fibres. The speckled, or the variegated speckled colour, is a it's called Wrinkle in Time, and the contrast colour is called Horcrux. It was a mini skein, or 2 mini skeins actually that she sent me. You do need 2 mini skeins for this, because I definitely needed more than one. So yeah, there's some fun little colour work there. It kind of looks like noughts and crosses or X's and O's, so I think that's what the name of the pattern is going to be. It's going to be X's and O's, or Hugs and Kisses actually, I think is what I was going to go with. And yeah, and the ribbing at the top matches the ribbing in the body of the sock, and I went ahead and did the ribbing on the front and the back. It is a panel of ribbing that goes down the front, and then down the back of the leg that there is a more solid stockinette stripe down either side of the leg, intentionally. Got my modified heel flap and German short row heel, and then the foot. And there's another little tiny bit of colour work around the toe, just before the toe, which you can omit if you didn't want to do that. But yeah, I really liked it. It was my first time doing colour work on socks. I learnt a lot, and yeah, I'm really chuffed with how this has turned out. So there again, the notes are written, I just need to type it up. So these will hopefully be coming soon. I will be getting these test knit. I don't typically get my socks test knit very often, but these ones will be test knit as well. So there will be a call for these once the pattern has been written up and tech edited. The next 2 pairs of socks I have to show you are just plain vanilla socks. So bear in mind, all of my socks were knit on 2.25mm needles. I use high sharps or chiagus, and the Colorwork socks also use 2.25mm needles, but I went up to a 2.5mm for the actual Colorwork section, and yeah, and all of that will be explained in the pattern as well. Okay, so the next pair of socks are my Pneumatic Yawns Rhinebeck Sweater Weather Colorway socks, and with just a scrap mini I had left over in my leftovers bag. And yeah, I really love this colorway. I think I knit these whilst we were on the family holiday with Perry's family, and yeah, so this is the Rhinebeck Sweater Weather colorway. It's on the Brit sock base by Pneumatic Yarns, which is an 80% BFL, 20% nylon. Yeah, I really love it. And you guys, I'm going to Rhinebeck this year. I know I said that already, but last night I finally booked my flights. I have sorted out where I'm staying and who I'm staying with. Accommodation has been sorted, flights have been booked, and yeah, the only thing I have to do now is to book my train up to from New York City up to the venue. So yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm going to be sharing with some really lovely people, sharing a house with some very lovely people who I'm so excited to meet. And they're people who I've been, well, a few of them I know through online and have chatted with before, and some of them are going to be completely new. So I'm sure everyone's going to be absolutely lovely, and I'm so excited, and I can't wait. I can't wait now. It's all getting a bit real, but there's still so much to get through between now and Rhinebeck that it's actually kind of a little bit daunting how much is going to be happening over the next couple of months. Anyway, a bit off topic there. These are that pair of socks. Then the next pair I have to show you are actually on blockers, because I finished these recently. This is, or actually I blocked these recently. This is just a pair of vanilla socks to be gifted. This is out of Manos del Uruguay Alegria, which is I think it's an 80-20 merino nylon blend, and this is in the Pindo colorway, P-I-N-D-O. I had a few people asking about that. So some like pooly, flashy, stripy effect thing going on there, which I really don't mind. I know some people do, so if it's not your cup of tea, maybe stay away from this colourway for socks. But I thought it was quite fun. And then the last finished object I have to show you is another unintentional design. I was never planning on this being an actual design that I write up and publish, but so many of you have asked for it, so I think, well, so I have written it up. It's so simple, it really didn't take that long, so I didn't have the same stumbling block with this. So this has been written up. I actually sent it to my tech editor this morning just to make sure, because I've changed up the layout of the pattern a bit compared to my other sock patterns. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So a quick little tech edit, and then this will be ready to publish. So it's a very simple sock with a fun garter ridge running throughout, and then the garter ridges throughout work really well with the garter German short row heel and mini heel flap adjustment, because it just all fits really well in that design. The yarn for this is O-loops in the Perfection Knot base, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon in the Eeyore colorway, so a little Winnie the Pooh reference there. Absolutely love how these have turned out, and these will also go into the gift pile. And for anyone who is interested and likes to know my knitting stats, this is pair number 29 for this year so far. So the socks that I currently have on the needles is pair number 30 for 2018 in terms of socks that I've knit this year. So a lot of them have actually already been gifted, so actually once we've moved, we're moving next weekend, I'll have to take stock of what I have in terms of gift knits, and then sort of like start planning out what I'm going to do for Christmas knits for this year, because I don't want to fall behind. I already have a couple of ideas of what I'm knitting for some people, but yeah, I just want to get ahead of the game a little bit on that one. And that's it for finished objects, to be honest. I don't have anything else to show you for finished objects, which sounds ridiculous because that was a lot to show you, but realistically what I finished between the last podcast and this podcast is what was it, 4 pairs of socks and a children's pullover, which don't get me wrong, is not nothing. It's not a small amount, but my knitting, especially this week, has been so limited. So I literally had, I think, 3 days where I knit all of like 2 rows on a pair of socks or something. Like I really haven't had a lot of knitting time this week. Layla has got a bit of a cold, and for the first time ever, she's, for the last 2 days, only had like half an hour nap all day. Like she's never had less than like an hour to an hour and a half nap for a whole day before. So I had basically no break for the last couple of days in terms of like her, when she naps, me having a bit of downtime. And both times when we were already out and about, so we weren't even at home to say that, okay, well, I got to sit down for half an hour. It's been hard, and the weather's heated up again. So yeah, don't get me wrong, I've had an amazing week with Layla. We've had so much fun, and we've gone out the house, we've done a whole bunch of stuff, but it has been quite draining because I've had no chance or no time to just sort of like catch my breath essentially throughout the day. It's fine, just not something I'm particularly used to. I'm used to her sleeping a bit better during the day than that. Anyway, so moving on to works in progress, I am knitting up another pair of those garter ridge socks. And this is basically what I knit yesterday while we were out. So Layla slept for about half an hour, 40 minutes while we were out yesterday, and this is what I managed to do whilst we were on the bus. I'll talk more about it yesterday later, but this is being knit out of some of this loveliness. This yarn is by Yarn Experiments, and I believe it's on just a 75-25, again, superwash merino nylon base, and it is in the Baby Layla colorway. This is a colorway that she dyed inspired by Layla, so that was really sweet. And these will be gift socks as well, for someone very special. I'm not saying who. I haven't completely decided on, you know, who's getting what exactly, but I'm pretty sure I know who's getting these socks. And yeah, so that's basically that. The second sock is just a cuff right now. These are not something particularly urgent. Like I said, this is pair 30. I'll probably take these this weekend for car knitting. And this weekend, again, I'll talk more about this later, but Perry and I are heading down to Tunbridge Wells to sort stuff out at the apartment. But yeah, so that's current sock project. One thing that I've really not touched at all since we got back from the family holiday with Perry's family is this the Rhapsody in Cables pullover by Joji Locatelli. I started this whilst we were away, and I think so far I've got 2 skeins of yarn into this. It looks really tiny right now, but it will block out because it's all cables, so it does have like a lot of stretch in it because of that. I literally haven't touched this since we got back. The only thing I've done was pick up the provisional cast on at the back here, and I haven't knit on it since we got back. It was just fine. The whole, you know, I always knew that once we got back I was going to have to get back to working on some design work, but now this is on the needles. It means that whenever I have a bit of downtime or a bit of an opportunity to do some personal knitting, I can pick this up and work on it. And I'm generally pretty good when especially if I'm knitting somebody else's patterns or my own patterns, at keeping really good notes of where I am in the pattern, so that if I do stop, this doesn't happen very often. Typically I don't leave stuff sitting for very long once they're cast on, but just in case that does happen, I always keep very good notes about where I am in the pattern, making sure I've written on the pattern or on a separate piece of paper, so I can, when I go back to pick it up later, I'll know exactly where I am and I won't be faffing around trying to figure out what I've done. So that's being knit on 4mm needles, so I didn't actually say anything about it. And the yarn is by is Oval on the O-Wash worsted base, which is worsted weight, and it's in the Juneberry colorway. And I picked this up actually, this yarn, at Rhinebeck last year. Then, so I'm just trying to make sure I've got everything nearby I wanted to show you. Okay, then my next work in progress, which is in my Thimble and Thread Make project bag. This is the Canvas Cube project bag. It is so big. It takes so much, it has so much space, and I love how wide it opens when it's open. So in this one, I am working on the adult version of the Little Red Pullover, which I'm currently just referring to as Big Red, because you've got Little Red and you'll have Big Red. I'm not sure if that's going to be the name that sticks at the end, but this is where I'm at. I still need to put in the neckline, so it looks really wide and open right now, but it'll be good once there's a neckband on it. And yeah, so I've done all the raglan shaping, all the increases, and I've split for the sleeves. I'm literally 2 rows past where I've split for the sleeves. So it's looking a bit messy right now because of all the ends and scrap yarns and stuff. But yeah, just split for the sleeves on this one. So now it's just a bit of straight knitting down the body until I get to where I'm going to start moving the cables, which is always a bit of fun. And yes, there's that. Random bits of thread. So that's that project. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really bad at remembering to tell you anything. So I'm using 3.75mm needles. Those are US 5s. Those are high sharps. And the yarn that I'm using is again by Mon Sheep Shop, and this is in the Terre Brûlée colorway. And this one, can't remember. No, I can't remember the name of this colorway, but I'll make sure to. If you really want to know, ask me and I will look it up. I did write it down somewhere, and I just can't remember where it is. But really beautiful grey with speckles of this red in it. It's like a burgundy red. So they're gonna be matching, but you know, the colour schemes are gonna be slightly different. This is slightly darker, slightly moodier, a little bit more grown up. And so it's more bright, fun, more carefree and childlike. So there we go. So it'll be matchy, but not like super matchy, if that makes sense. And my last work in progress is in my London print project bag. Probably one of my favourites from when I was making project bags. I don't make project bags anymore, but I absolutely love this one. And I can't actually show you the design because it's a secret. This is the design that I'm working on with in collaboration with Lavender Loon Yarn Company, so the lovely Samantha, and Asylum Fibers, the lovely Stephanie. So I'm gonna show you the yarn because this is actually an acquisition since the last time I spoke with you guys, this came in the mail. It was waiting for me when we got back from our trip with Perry's family, and I never got around to showing it to you. I can show you the swatches because the swatches doesn't really give anything of the design away. But for this I am using Chiagu needles, and I'm using 4mm and 3.5mm needles for this shawl, just because there is a change in some of the stitch patterns, and some of the stitch patterns really change the gauge quite a bit. So you play around with needle sizes as well. Okay, so I'm trying to remember. Okay, so these were sent by Sam from Lavender Loon Yarn Company. So this lovely red is it's called Freddy's Sweater. They've all got Halloween themed names. Yeah, Freddy's Sweater. So I believe that's a Nightmare on Elm Street reference. I don't really watch horror movies, so this is just going on based on general knowledge. I think that's Nightmare on Elm Street. The mohair, the fuzzy mohair, is called Michael, which I think is a Halloween reference. And then these two are by Asylum Fibers. Oh, sorry. This one is a fingering weight. I think it's an 80-20. 75-25 superwash merino nylon for Freddy's Sweater, and the mohair is I think it's a 70% kid mohair, 30% silk for that one. And the Asylum Fibers, I believe both are 100% superwash merino. Yeah, 100% superwash merino. The yellow one is called Children of the Corn, and the green one, I think it's called Swamp Thing, or Swamp Ones. Yeah, Swamp Thing for the green one. So all very Halloween themed colorway names. So what happened was I sent a inspiration photo of some autumnal leaves going from like red to green, and so they were very good at sticking with that. And so I just asked for like colorways that had bits of the other colorways in them. So the yellow has bits of the red and the green in it, the green has bits of yellow, and the red has bits of yellow, so they actually flow really well together in that regard. I did some swatching, and it's interesting because you don't necessarily think that adding a strand of mohair would make that much of a difference to your gauge, but it really does. So this is what it was like when I was swatching with just the fingering weight yarn on its own. And then you can see here, once you add the mohair, and the mohair is a lace weight, so you really wouldn't think it adds much, but you can see how much wider the mohair section of the swatch is compared to just the yarn on its own. And I didn't change needle sizes. This was all knit on 3.75mm needles, this swatch, and just the difference is crazy, and that's purely by just adding an extra strand of fuzziness to it. You can see how much, if I fold this in half, you'll probably be able to tell better, and line up this one edge. You can see how much wider there that mohair has made it. There's at least about 3 stitches wider on this small swatch. So gauge matters, just letting you know. I mean, not so much for a shawl, but for garments and stuff, things like this does make a difference. And then I started swatching with some stitch patterns and different ideas that I had. I decided to go with the mohair held double throughout. I mean held with the fingering weight throughout, because I really like how it mutes the colours a little bit. So you see here the colours are very stark, very bright, very in your face, which is beautiful, and I absolutely love it. But I also liked the slightly more muted effect from the mohair. Plus, I mean, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it. This is my first time ever working with mohair, so it's super fuzzy and it's really beautiful. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this project. I'm not sure if I'm halfway through, but I think I'm about halfway through on the knit right now. So there again, I'm working on getting this finished up as soon as possible, because there is a bit of a deadline on this one, and I have another deadline project coming my way soon as well, so I kind of want to get this one done before the next one hits. So yes, that's the yarn, which was a new acquisition that got kicked up pretty quickly and cast on pretty quickly. And now I know what I'm doing with this design, so it's not gonna, so now it's just a matter of knitting it, which shouldn't be too bad. And I also want to get this pattern written up soon. Again, it's a really easy one. It's not super complicated. I mean, it's easy to write up now that I've figured it out. So there's not a lot of thinking involved with writing up this design anymore, because I've done all the thinking part. And it's just a matter of knitting it now. So I think that will come this weekend as well, to try and get some work on it. And that's it for the knitting. That's all of the knitting content that I have to show you. The only other thing I wanted to go over was some acquisitions, I guess continuing with the acquisitions theme. So other than the yarn, that's the only yarn that has come into my possession over the last month or so. I went to a store recently, there's one in Harrow near where my parents live, and there are a few all over London. I think across the UK. They are a European brand. It's called Tiger, and I believe in the US it's called Flying Tiger. They're from Copenhagen, Denmark. And yeah, recently I popped in, and every couple of months or so they have like new stock come in. Their themes sort of change. A couple of months ago it was all like citrus and like watermelon fruit themed, and I kind of feel I'm a little bit upset that I didn't pick up some of their watermelon plates that they had, because let's be honest, those would have been really fun. But I went in the other day, and everything in their store right now, or the majority of like the new things that have come in, is all llama, alpaca and sloth themed. So I couldn't help myself and I grabbed a few things. A lot of them already packed up, ready to go down to the new place. I picked up these really cute alpaca like planters. So I'm thinking of getting some like succulents or something to plant in them and have as like decoration in the apartment. I got this little alpaca stuffy for Layla. She loves it. I've kind of taken it away from her just so I can show you guys, but it's so cute. Little hoofies. It's adorable. They had another one which had slightly longer, fluffier hair, but I thought if she decides to sleep with it, this is probably better than the one with longer, fuzzier hair. But she really likes it, and it's really cute. Look how adorable that is. And I picked up this traveler's notebook. They had so many different types of notebooks and like notepads and stuff like that, with these different themes on. They're different colours, but it was mainly this sort of like minty green, some like pinky colour, and then like greys, that sort of theme. I posted quite a few photos of it to my stories if you saw that. And this is like the traveller's journal style notebook. So you've got like an envelope at the front, and there's one notebook in here with just lines, and then the next one has just squares in it, which I actually really like the squared notebooks. They're my favourite. And there's another little pocket in the back, and the good thing about these is they're held in place by an elastic. So once you're finished with the notebook, you can slide it out and replace it. So you can take it out and then you can put a new one in, which means the cover is reusable. And yeah, I just thought it was really, really good. And I always have a notebook on hand, so it's always nice to have something fun. And they had loads of stuff. And I picked up, like I said, a few other things as well, but these are the ones I kept on hand just to show you guys. And it's very affordable. Tiger is one of those stores that's just full of knickknacks, but if you find something good, you'll usually get it for a good price. And I spotted these behind the counter at checkout, these enamel pins. So they had this set of 3 for £3, so you really can't go wrong with that. There's a little rainbow, a little ice cream sundae, and a little speech bubble with the word cool on it. I really got it mostly because of the rainbow, let's be honest. So these will have to go onto my canvas project bag soon. I might have to start thinking about moving some pins onto other project bags, because this poor one is getting very, very full and there's not a lot of space left on it. But we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing with that. I did also pick up a watermelon handbag, which I thought would be really fun for the summer. Just to put a few bits in, especially if I'm going out with Layla. I don't need a huge handbag because I have her like nappy diaper bag as well, which can hold a lot of stuff. So I just picked this up. I thought it was really cute and adorable, and it's big enough to hold my purse, my wallet, my phone, my camera if I'm taking it, sunglasses, like just the little essentials that I need with me at hand really easily, that I don't necessarily want to put in Layla's nappy bag. But yeah, so that's it in terms of acquisitions. Not really yarny related, but I wanted to share about Tiger because I had quite a few questions about that on Instagram when I shared some of the photos. So I know they're in Europe. I know they're in New York definitely, but I'm not sure about how widespread throughout the US the shop is, and I don't know if they sell stuff online. I don't think they do. Personally, I don't think they do. But if you do have one near you, I definitely recommend you go check them out right now because alpacas and llamas are very on trend apparently. Okay, so moving on. What other news do I have to tell you? We have a few knit-alongs going on in the group right now, so if you want to check those out, pop on over to the group, see what the active threads are. There's 2 sock clubs going on right now. There's the Changes Shawl knit-along, which is ongoing until early September. I think those are the main ones at the moment. I don't think there's anything else going on in the group. I am so behind on keeping up with the group. I apologise profusely for that. A new sock pattern was released a couple of days ago. I can't show it to you because I've already packed it because I wasn't thinking. Those are the cocoon socks that was part of the Cozy Sock Club. They're really fun. They look super complicated, but they're really, really not once you get into it. And I've done a full tutorial video on how to work the different stitch patterns in that one, so you should be able to manage that pattern nice and easily once you know how the stitches work together. That makes it sound far more complicated than it is, but you'll be fine. Watch the video, it'll go great. And if you still have any questions, let me know. I sent out all the prizes finally. I feel really bad. I was going to do the next set of prize drawers for today's video, but I didn't have time, and honestly I probably won't have time to go to the post office before we move, so I'm going to wait until after we've moved to do that. Okay, let's just move on to just chitter chatter stuff. A bit of a review of what's been going on for this last month. So we went away with Perry's family for a week. Then we did a day trip to Oxford with some of my family. I had a cousin who was over from Seattle visiting with her husband and kids, and so we went on a day trip to Oxford one day. We caught up with some friends here and there. We bought a house. I say house, it's an apartment, but it's split over 2 floors, so it's a duplex. And it's weird because it's not a usual setup. You walk in, on the upper floor is the entrance, and that's where your kitchen, living room, dining room, upstairs bathroom, everything is. And then you go downstairs for the bedrooms and bathroom, which is not typical. Usually in the UK it's the other way around, is the bedrooms and bathroom are upstairs, which is like pretty standard I think for most houses. But it's just the way that this building was initially set up and constructed, that's the way it is. So it's a slightly flipped situation, but totally workable, and actually we kind of like that layout. It looks like it's going to work out quite nicely for us. And yeah, so we've been busy. Last weekend we picked up the keys. It was so exciting. We went to see the place and started moving some stuff in. Layla got to see the boys again for the first time since we left New York, and she really liked them. She was very interested in them, but thankfully she wasn't as like overbearing on them as we were worried she might have been. So that was good. I think they will get on quite nicely once they are a bit more used to having her around. I think right now they're just a bit like, whoa, what's this little person who's running after us all the time? But so I think that should be fine. Then this weekend my parents are going to be looking after Layla for 2 days, well, for Saturday and Sunday, while Perry and I make a trip down to Tunbridge Wells to sort more stuff out at the apartment. We need to load up the car with as much stuff as we can and take as much as we can down with us. I've packed up a lot of Layla's things. I need to finish packing up a lot of my own things. Mainly I'm going to focus on trying to take my craft stuff down this weekend. Anything that I'm not actively working on, I'm going to try and take this weekend just to make it easier. Then we have another trip down on Thursday next week for just the day, because we're getting the internet and a fridge delivered, so we need to be there for those. And then we're officially moving in next weekend, so really exciting. And neither of us are overly concerned if we don't manage to move absolutely everything before we move in, because we're going to be coming back to my parents pretty regularly anyway, so we can just pick up stuff that we've left behind. that we weren't able to take now straight away, so not an issue. And yeah, we're just really excited. I think we're both just anxious isn't the right word, we're just excited and just want to get into our place and want to decorate it, want it to get it to look nice. I just ordered a bunch of prints and stuff to hang on the walls. We probably will be hanging up or putting up some photos. I don't want to go as like full on with like getting photos up and stuff as I would if we knew we were staying there long term, only because if we do end up going back to New York, we'll be renting the apartment, and I'd rather hang up art and stuff on, or prints and stuff on the walls that we can leave up if we're going to rent the place, and not have to worry about taking family photos down and stuff. So I think initially what we will do is, if we do put any family pictures up or anything, we'll just put them in frames and put them on shelves rather than hanging them on walls initially, until we know what's happening. So we still don't know what's happening with the visa situation. We're just waiting to find out, waiting for someone from the US government to get in touch and tell us what we need to do next. And yeah, so until we know, we're moving in, we're decorating it to a way that we would like it to be, but at the same time not going overly crazy with it either. Kind of trying to find a nice middle ground. I think that's mainly it, to be honest. There's been a lot of preoccupation with the apartment and getting things organized, logistics, ordering stuff, trips to IKEA when Layla's gone to bed, things like that, to be honest. So I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to say or show you. I'm just looking around to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. I'm sure I have forgotten something. If you have any questions or there's anything you'd like to know, or something I've missed that I forgot to talk about that I was meant to, or something, I don't know, please just let me know and I will try and answer all your questions. And yeah, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'm sorry it's a little bit delayed. I do want to try and keep up with this a bit more frequently. I think once we move into the new place, we'll settle into a better rhythm. I will have a better like sort of work set up as well for the days that Layla's in nursery. And I'm hoping to get the podcast back onto a bi-monthly schedule, like fortnightly schedule every other week. I think that would be a good setup for me. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed that will work out, and I will be back with you guys again very soon. Fingers crossed. Probably a vlog next time you see me, let's be honest. It'll probably be another couple of weeks before another podcast, but yeah, I'll definitely be vlogging next weekend when we move in, because yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, so I will chat to you guys again soon. Take care. Bye.